Hi, I'm your Fed Phoenix. I am currently waiting for my plea hearing in a few days, and I'm looking at up to 4 years incarceration, 1 year supervised release. Hoping for as little as possible time wise. I have no priors, so kind of hoping the judge is really lenient and goes with a year and a day. Anyway, neither here nor there. I'm making these videos and I made this YouTube channel for those of you who are preparing for federal prison. Whether you've received a target letter, whether you've been indicted, whether you've been arrested and you're out on pre-sentence release, whether you're someone who's made some questionable decisions in life and you think a federal criminal case is not necessarily outside of the realm of possibilities for your future, or whether you're a member of society who has made much better choices and has much better odds of just not going at some point, and you just generally are curious about the process of what a person goes through with the whole federal prison thing. I have no priors. I've never been in prison ever, state or federal. And I'm expecting to go to federal prison probably by the end of summer, or maybe a little later. Right now it's almost June. My plea hearing's in a few days, the beginning of June. From what I understand, it's usually a couple months after that you go to sentencing. You have a sentencing hearing, so June, July, probably August-ish. And then usually I'm expecting to be a self-surrender, although nothing's guaranteed. And generally that can be a week or two after your sentencing. That can be a couple months after your sentencing. So I'm thinking late summer, early fall. So anywho, this first video is about preparing for federal prison. And I actually took notes. So if you see me looking down, it's not because I'm allowing myself to be distracted by the absolutely adorable kittens my cat had that have made it a habit to climb on me like a jungle gym. Um, it's actually because I'm looking at my notes. So the first element of preparing for federal prison, and mind you, this information is based on my personal experience and the collective knowledge I've gained from talking to people that are currently in federal prison, people that are currently in federal halfway houses that have been to federal prison, as well as the old trusty Google and various YouTube prison consultant types. Um, so this is what I've come up with, and I hope this information is offers you some insight or support, or maybe even empowers you a little in your journey through the federal system. Because for me, at least, I know that knowing what to expect, knowing kind of foreseeing things, has allowed me to minimize my anxiety over the situation. So the first thing I want to talk about is monetary preparations. Um, you need to decide and assign a power of attorney / point of contact person. And the reason for this is there may be things that come up in the free world while you're incarcerated that require your attention from a logistical perspective, and your signature. And you need someone you can trust to make decisions for you, but also to relay your decisions. Like, for example, if a loved one were to pass and I get, I'm needed in that process, or my signature is needed in some way, this person can intercede on my behalf. Um, if there's a bank account being maintained while I'm out, while I'm in prison, this is a person who can, withdraw or deposit $2, $3 every few months. That way the account doesn't actually end up being closed, because having a bank account will be a huge, huge asset for you when you come home from prison. Um, if you're a person who will be working, which most people will, this will allow you to get your checks from your job direct deposited. When you get that check, if you get that check from prison for the remainder of your commissary account balance, this will give you the ability to more expeditiously cash it. Um, if you're a person who lives on a fixed income before you go to prison, maybe you get SSI or SSDI, this will allow your benefits to be processed much quicker. If you're filing a tax return at some point shortly after coming out of prison, this will allow you to get your money faster. And as kind of an implemental part of being a member of society is having a bank account. There are so many things in your day-to-day life, even if you just in the halfway house, you're allowed to have a cell phone, and you're doing surveys for little $2, $3, $10 checks, and these checks are being mailed to you. You can't cash a check from laundry detergent opinions.com at Walmart. You have to have a bank account to deposit them in. Um, Also, that your power of attorney person will be your contact person. Now, generally, if you're married, I would say this should be your spouse if you trust them, maybe an adult child. In my case, it's my best friend. Your point of contact person is also, I know for me, I have very limited financial resources, and that will pretty much all but disappear during my incarceration. So while I'm incarcerated, people may want to know how I'm doing. Do I need anything? What facility have I been moved to? That kind of thing. And an easy way for them to get that information is to simply contact my point of contact person. Because even if I can only afford one phone call a week, this would be the person I call. When I get to prison, if, federal prison requires a PAC number they give inmates to make phone calls. And you pay for those phone calls, by the way. You can't make collect calls from federal prison. But once I get my PAC number, if I have enough money in my books to make a phone call, and let's say I can only make one phone call, it would always be to your point of contact person, because your mother, your father, your adult children, your friends, your cousins, all these people are going to know to contact your point of contact person to get updates on where you're at, what's going on, that kind of thing. Another monetary preparation is calculating cost. I know from my research, and I mentioned my sources, that when I first get to federal prison, sorry, I'm using a selfie stick. Got one today at Walmart for less than $3 on clearance. Win for the frugal. But I am the least tech savvy person in the world. So do not expect me to be able to handle this well, and do not expect amazing quality. I know absolutely nothing about editing videos or making videos. Like, this is all kind of grassroots from the ground up learning curve here. And I intend to make videos documenting my experience up to my incarceration. Once I'm incarcerated, which hopefully will be a year and a day, it'd be even greater if I got a larger amount of time but could do it on home confinement. But I tend to know that that's generally a pipe dream. Or maybe I'll be gone. Maybe I'll get the full 4 years, which with good behavior is 3.5 years. But during the gap of time that I'm actually incarcerated, I obviously will not be posting videos because I won't have internet access or a phone to make videos with. So these videos, I'll continue to make them up until my incarceration, kind of documenting my journey. And when I come home, I'm sure I'll have a lot more content about life in federal prison for me, whether it be funny stories, because I'm a little bit of a character, or whether it just be some really witty observations, or even just some very logical, basic advice for those going into prison. I'm definitely going to be in a much better position to advise people on this experience once it's run its full course. So anywho, but you need to calculate your cost. My research, including talking to people that are in and have came home from federal prison, is that I'm going to need anywhere from $250 to $400 $350 to $500 going into federal prison for the very basics. We're talking basic hygiene products. We're talking over-the-counter meds, because it most likely I'll qualify for a federal prison camp, and at these places you can actually buy over-the-counter meds off commissary. And generally, the medical staff, their opinion is no matter what is wrong with you, aside from a limb hanging off your body, you can treat it yourself with medicines you buy, like ibuprofen and acid reducers, over the counter. So you really need to be prepared to be your own doctor and kind of wing things on a medical end. And we'll get into medical stuff either later in this video, if this video drags on a little longer than it should, or if it does, it'll be the next video, or later in this video, because medical preparation is definitely on the list of different phases and angles of preparation a person needs to take in going into federal prison. But calculate your cost. So you're talking at least $350 when you come in. You need to get a little radio. A lot of people want to get the MP3. It's more expensive. And the music downloads are $2 a piece. And you got to rebuy all these downloads every 12 months. I'm planning to get the very basic radio. And the reason why you need this is, one, it gives you a very small outlet. To hear some AM, you can hear some talk shows, FM radio, some actual music that you're not paying for per song. And additionally, you have to have a radio in prison, a little handheld radio, in order to be able to watch TV in the TV room. It's not like a TV in your home. It's some kind of fancy techno stuff I don't understand that requires headphones or earpods. Earpods? Is that the right term? No. Earplugs? No, it ain't earplugs. Earbuds. There we go. Earbuds are headphones, and you have to turn into the correct channel to actually hear the TV, which is crazy as that is, but I guess it reduces overall noise, which I can see that being a good thing. Additionally, you'll need $100 to $200 a month to survive. When you first get there, you're going to need to get your shorts, which are going to be like knee length, cotton gym shorts. You're going to need to get, if they sell like a night shirt, pajama kind of thing, at least one of those. You're going to need socks, bras, underwear, and you got to buy those per pair. They don't come in packs like at Walmart, and they're going to be at least a few dollars a piece. You're going to need to buy t-shirts. You're going to need to buy your grays, as they call them, which is your sweats, during what they consider the work day. So 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, I would assume is pretty much the bracket for that. You actually have to wear a prison issued uniform, but you'll be able to wear these grays, which are significantly more comfortable outside of those hours. Additionally, the boots they give you are steel-toed work boots, very cheap, extremely heavy. And from the people I've talked to who have been in the facility I'm potentially going into, they will leave blisters all over your feet. They will hurt. It will just be all bad. But for an additional 70 is like the lowest bracket, or $100 for the better quality, you can actually buy boots off the commissary. I think the $100 ones are like Nike Pro. Of course, I'm just going to go for the 70 if I can wing it. Because then these boots that you have to wear the same hours you have to wear that prison uniform, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you're going to be wearing those boots that same amount of time. And you're going to do a lot of walking, particularly at this camp facility that I'm hoping to get sent to. Because it's a lower security facility, which just means lower stress, lower violence, that kind of thing. So between your grays and your boots and your undergarments and your t-shirts, and I would assume it's long sleeve t-shirts or thermals. I live in West Virginia, and the facility I'm hoping to go to is also in West Virginia. So cold weather is going to be an issue, as well as very hot weather. We have all 4 seasons up here. You need to get your hygiene products. That bottle of Head and Shoulders that you and I buy at Walmart for like $3.50, $4 tops, it's going to cost me $8 on commissary. Food. I'm hypoglycemic. If I can't keep a few candies in my pocket and a few packs of noodles in my locker, there's potential for me to have a seizure or even die as a result of that. I think there's like a 12-hour gap maybe between the dinner and the breakfast. And from what I understand, most of the food is not very edible. A lot of it comes in packaging labeled not for human consumption. I know people in prison often complain that the food is expired or is moldy, if it's in the case of bologna or stale bread. And it's really just not things that, there's going to be a lot that you probably can't make yourself choke down to eat to keep your sugar up. And then again, you have that 12-hour gap at night. So let's say I get the 4 years, which with good behavior is about 3.5 years, roughly 36 months. So if you figure, we'll just round things up because it's easier. $400 going in for the necessities. And then for the additional 35 months, $100 a month. That's almost $4,000. There is no way under God's green earth that I'm going to have $4,000 to just go into prison with. I'm going to be lucky to have $1,000, quite frankly. And mind you, half of that's going to get ate up my first month in just the necessities. Oh, and I forgot. You got to pay for your phone calls. You got to pay for pens, paper, envelopes, stamps, emails, which I've told my people as a money-saving effort that we would do regular old school mail and emails strictly for emergencies. But the email system, because you don't have access to the internet in prison, but there is a very secured email system. And with that email system, it costs you 5 cents per minute to read and respond to emails. So if someone sends you a typical 4-page letter in the form of an email, depending on your academic level and depending on the clarity of the kiosk that you're trying to read and whatever, you may spend 10, 15 minutes reading that. That's 50 to 75 cents just reading that one email. That's a lot more than one postage stamp. And that's without you even being able to respond. Whereas you could get the letter for free because, they pay to send the letter. And then you send a letter back. And instead of paying an additional God knows how much per minute to type a response, you can take your time, write a letter, mail it, and it's no additional cost. So what I've done is I've made sure that my loved ones know how to put money on my commissary if they so choose, which I would appreciate anything, obviously. And also, another thing with the monetary is you want to kind of, before you go to prison, start to prepare. Like I had a Keurig before the incident a couple years ago that led to these charges. And even though I live on a tight budget and stuff, one of the things I was kind of hoity-toity about was I loved me some Keurig coffee. Instant coffee only in prison. Welcome to the new world. So I sold my Keurig, got about $30 out of it, And I've been drinking instant coffee because I'm going to be drinking nothing but instant coffee the whole time I'm incarcerated. So I might as well get used to it now. And that's saving me money currently to allow me to better financially prepare for prison. A lot of your creature comforts, I used to like getting my nails done. If I could afford it periodically, go get a massage. I don't do those things anymore. I mean, one, having acrylics on is going to be a huge pain in the buns when you go to prison. A lot of times I don't want you to have them off before you even go into the population. And if you go into the population with them on, then people are going to assume that you think you're better than them. Women's prisons are not like men's prisons where everything is organized by gangs and races and that kind of thing. Not that that is something I'd ever want to be part of. But in women's prison, you have your pseudo families. Everything's very cliquey, and it's women. I mean, there are going to be a lot of emotional madness. There's going to be a lot of anger. There's going to be a lot of irritability. And you just got to kind of wing that and maneuver through it the best you can, drawing as little attention as possible to yourself, getting as few write-ups as possible. But another thing with the monetary preparation is material prep, which I kind of went into with the whole Keurig example. I already lived a relatively humble life out of necessity, but I have even further humbled that life. I'm not a person with a lot of financial means, so I don't own a home that I can just, give someone some money to pay the taxes on, and when I come home, my life is still intact as far as materialistic things. I'm a renter. And so the little bit of nothing that I had, the decent material things I had, I'm selling them quickly and very cheaply because I would rather have $10 for a coffee table now to help ease my transition into prison and for when I go to prison, then that coffee table will end up on the curb and I have nothing to show for it. So, it's humbling. It is humiliating. It is difficult and heart-wrenching, but just freaking do it. Jump in, embrace it. This is your new normal. Get to it. The next element of preparing for federal prison that I'll discuss is social. And yes, there are social preparations to this. I'm a very chatty person. I'm a very outgoing person. I love to make jokes and I love intelligent conversation and all this kind of stuff. Prison is not the place to try to become a social butterfly or to be a social butterfly. When you first get there, the people who will approach you are generally people with predatory intentions. People want to know your business. They want to size you up. So you need to start withdrawing more socially before you go to prison, particularly with strangers. But then you also need to overly be active in the relations with your friends and family, because quite frankly, as much as everyone may be well-intending and I'm going to ride this out with you, the vast majority are going to forget about you pretty quick. A few months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, forget about it. Life goes on in the free world. Another thing that you can do as far as social preparation, sorry I keep looking down, I wrote notes because I'm a little scatterbrained, is you need to start looking into your reentry options. With federal prison, if I go to the prison I'm expecting to go to, hoping to go to, I know where the regional halfway house is near my home that has a women's area. So I'm already kind of digging into what will my reentry options be? What will my reentry resources be? And familiarizing myself. So when I go through that next phase of getting out of prison, because you got to keep in mind, for most people, not everybody, some people go in, they got decades. But if you're going to a camp, which is where I'm hoping to go, you're a person who's doing 10 years or less. You have an out date. You need to be preparing and embedding yourself and really just gearing up for the next chapter of your life after prison. Do not let yourself get caught up in the fishbowl madness of the culture inside of prison. Don't date anyone in the prison, whether that's your thing or not. Do not try to become besties and tell personal things that you would not want everyone to know to random strangers in prison. Do not talk about your criminal case much, because there are people who will lie and say that you said XYZ when you didn't, and tell that to a prosecutor in the hopes to get time off their time while you get extra charges. And even if they're lying, if they know enough about your case to make up lies, that's a big liability for you. You may sacrifice your out date and add more time to your sentence just because you told somebody too much of your business. So ixnay on the ixnay with that. Another thing that I did, and I strongly advise, I think it's really smart, the people I've talked to who are, sorry I'm so wobbly, I'm really trying to get this selfie stick thing down, but it's not working out well for me. But anyway, is I made a Facebook group, a secrets, Facebook group that is geared towards this situation. It's solely about my incarceration journey. And only my closest friends, family members I have good ties with, and some associates through my religious community are in this group. And my contact person, my POA, is going to, until I get incarcerated, I will update the group with updates. I have a lot of links in there on how to put money on my books, what the address will be if I go to the facility I plan to go to write me, what they can include in their letters, just everything imaginable, as well as frequent posts and occasional videos, just updating the status of the situation and making it very personal. Because if you want to go through this with me, then the door is open. You know, I could use all the support I can get. And I strongly suggest doing that. Another social aspect that some people do, and I don't really know if I'm going to go with it or not, is a lot of people make ads on pen pal sites. A lot of people, while they're incarcerated, they try to get their loved ones to do this for them in the free world. Now, granted, the obvious, some people do this in the hopes of finding people they can hustle. That's really not my angle, and I think it shouldn't be yours. Now, if you happen to build some genuine friendships with people and they want to help you, great. But I generally think that when you have bad intentions in a thing, nothing good will come of it. So you gotta have good intentions. And my good intentions are sending me to prison for 4 years. So not everything with good intentions pans out well, let me tell you. But anywho, you know, when you're in there and your loved ones, your family and friends start writing you less and less and less, you're going to go through a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. You're going to feel very isolated. You're going to feel very hopeless. If you make some ads on prison pen pal websites before you go in, you know, and you then can put pictures of yourself, pictures you like, pictures that are flattering. You know, if these profiles are made for you by people while you're incarcerated, God knows what pictures are going to go up. And they may just see your mugshot, which is never a flattering photo. And so anyway, but this will allow you an additional layer, kind of like an onion, but an additional layer of emotional social support while you're incarcerated is to have these pen pals that you keep in contact with, and they can kind of keep you up and really distracted from what you're going through, but also keep you up on world events while you're in there. And you know, you don't get to watch the news from what I understand. So that's the monetary and social aspect. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. I think I did okay. One of the social things too, just side note that I would recommend, is make goals for yourself while you're incarcerated. In that Facebook group I talked about, I went on, I think Walmart.com, in their book section, and I found several books I would like to read. And I screenshotted these books, the prices, all that, made a post and said, hey, if someone wants to send me a book, these would be books I'd love to have. I did the same thing on a magazine website, you know, because you can get magazine subscriptions while you're in prison. And the great thing about books and magazines is after you've read them cover to cover a dozen times, which I'm sure you will, you can then barter with them, or you can donate them to the prison library. You know, maybe that book will provide someone else a level of comfort that they desperately need, just like it comforted you. Or maybe it's a time in your incarceration where there's no money on your books, baby. And you ain't got no candies to deal with your low blood sugar, and you've been in blinding pain from your various injuries or handicaps, and you can't even afford an ibuprofen. Well, when those times come, or you're starting to get a little right, because guess who can't afford deodorant right now? When those times come, having a book that you've read many, many times, and you really don't have any more practical use for, being able to trade that book for a bag of candy and a deodorant and a few ibuprofens will be a lifesaver, because you need to think of not only the immediate benefit of the things that you will acquire while in prison, but you also need to think of the bartering value, as crazy as that may sound. Because you may find yourself, if you're not a person with extensive financial means, bartering a lot. And I think a lot of my videos, a lot of my journey, will really hit home for those who are going through this that are not wealthy. You'll have a lot of white-collar criminals in the federal system who come from money or who have established financial empires for themselves. But you also have a lot of people who were the girlfriend, wife, or friend of some drug, you know, big drug person, or the people who are the wife, girlfriend, friend of some money launderer or pyramid scam runner. And by default, they catch a case, they end up in federal prison with nothing, but nothing. Not even the shirt on your back, because they'll take that at intake. So, I think my videos are more relevant to people who, prior to prison, or expect while in prison to be living on a wing and a prayer. So, anywho, so that's this video. I will make a second video and go over the other aspects of preparation for federal prison that will include spiritual, mental, networking specifically, and the X Factor. The X Factor is an interesting preparation area. So, anywho, I hope this video reaches you all well, and I apologize for any horrible audio or video quality. Again, this is completely uncharted territory for me, so bear with me. If you like the video, like the video. Feel free to subscribe if you would like to see future upcoming videos. Like I said, I'll be posting these for the next few months at least. And then I think there's like a little bell dingy icon you can push, and you'll actually get notifications of when I post a new video. Because with me having currently no subscribers, no followers, and no uploaded videos, the chances of another one of my videos randomly showing up in your feed is pretty slim if you're not a subscriber or you haven't signed up for notifications. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope this information has been insightful and helpful and supportive to those it applies to, as well as those with a general interest on this subject. So good day. God bless.